Hello, and welcome to All the Time Anytime, a show where John and a much more important guest talk about how they got to this point in their lives. That sounds deep, I know. Don't worry, most of the show's just bad dad jokes. I should prefix this with saying John is not an expert in anything, so take anything he says with a grain of salt. And, don't be afraid to grab a snack. Don't worry, I'll wait.
It's just an interview. I was gonna say, do you have any questions? I mean, it's just there.
Plenty. But I mean, before, is this before we start?
Yeah,
talking?
I'll edit all this chunk out.
This is as good as I get. I don't get any.
This is the height. Okay. Well, hi.
Hello.
How have you? I guess I feel kind of obligated to ask this, but how have you been holding up during quarantine?
Well, probably different to most people. My coronavirus experience has probably been extremely different to most people because of having our shop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think you follow our shop on Instagram. So you know about the
like
grain grocer. It's an organic Whole Foods shop that I run with my wife, and so that means that because it's a grocery shop, it's like the same rules apply to that as do to Tesco's, and I guess for you it'd be like Walmart. And things like that. All those places are still open, so it means that we're open. So it's actually been busier, if anything, because people have been coming to us more rather than like going out to other cafes and things. Because we do coffee as well, and drinks and cakes. So it's been pretty full on. And also I had another baby recently, and I haven't.
Congratulations, Lord.
So it's been a mad year, and I haven't been bored or lonely. I mean, if anything, I could have done with a little bit more time on my own. But yeah, and also working on music too. So I've been quite. The silver lining for me is that this year I wouldn't have had too much time to go out and socialize anyway. I'm kind of at my limit with the amount of stuff I've got on my plate, so I'm kind of taking the positives from it and just, trying to be present with my obligations like work and family and recording music and writing stuff.
One of the questions I was gonna ask you, because I figured most people, said, "Oh, I'm bored out of my mind. I've got nothing to do. Got to stay home." But one of the things I was planning to ask you, I had written down like, "Oh, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy?" But it sounds like, like you've been forced to keep busy.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I think, I guess my life at the moment is more like how everyone's was before quarantine, in terms of busyness. You know, you get to that point where, at a certain age, you just say, "Oh, how have you been?" to everyone, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'll be so busy. I'm so busy." It's like a busy contest, And I found myself falling into that trap and saying, "Oh God, I'm so busy." It's like I feel like it's like I just try to kind of not say it so much anymore because it's just a given. That is just life does get busier. You get more responsibilities, more obligations, more great things that you do, like more things on your plate. And so it's just that's just a part of life. And so rather than saying busy, it's just like, well, I have had a lot on, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just life. And yeah, I mean the things that I said. So I've been doing. Yeah, there's the work, the shop side of things, and we moved business. I think you saw on Instagram that we've moved premises.
You guys went to a new location.
Yeah, that was really crazy doing that. And then I've been recording stuff. I've done some stuff with Zav, some of my own things, and last year I released an album in quarantine.
Special and different.
Special and different. That's right. And so I did a couple of gigs for that, like live stream ones. And then also, yeah, I've been busy doing family things as well. It's crazy, like having two little boys. It's just, I was, as they say, busy before, but like putting two kids into the mix, it just goes to the next level with sort of craziness.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You were talking about like people saying, "Oh, like where you get to the point where, like, older people say, oh yeah, I'm just busy." I guess it does kind of. You assume it's negative connotations of like, oh, yeah. I wish I had more free time kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. What I think I read something somewhere where we had this idea of like free time, and it's like time. It's time. It's like, oh, my time. It's that thing of like, oh, when I get time to do my own thing. And as more stuff gets piled on your plate as you get older, if you're doing all right at life, you're gonna have more things piled on your plate. It will be unusual if you got older and there were fewer things, like you're getting
yeah more, I guess that would be,
but it would be if things are going quite well for you, like, and you're progressing through the years at a normal rate, you're going to end up having more responsibilities. So this idea of like always waiting, like, oh, I'll get through this task and then I'll have my time, I'll get time for myself, you'll never ever be satisfied that way, because you're never going to have as much of your time as you want. I don't really have enough. I don't feel like I have enough time to sort of put my feet up or spend time doing my music. So I have to kind of not just rank that as like my time. It's like it's all my time, and I have to try and enjoy and be present, even in the really busy bits that aren't quite as fun, but are just part of life.
Yeah, I guess all time is your time when you think about it.
That's right. It's all your time. It's like but if you're waiting like, oh, once I finish this day's work or once I finish putting the children together, then I can have my time. It's a hard cycle to get out of, but it's it's a work in progress.
It makes sense. Another question I had was kind of staying at the I guess this part will just be questions about you in general. Okay, what made you like start writing and playing?
Well, well, I come from quite a musical family, I guess. So I was introduced to. I played the piano. I think it's when I watched Zav's one of these, and we kind of have quite a similar musical trajectory, really. In the early stage, we both learnt the piano classically and had to do the grades and stuff like that. So I had the same thing, which was like, gotta do the grades, gotta do the classical music.
Like
so
stereotypical, give you sheet music and just.
Yeah, exactly that. We both did that, and we were kind of forced to do that. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think that you do almost have to force children to learn classical piano, unless you're a prodigy and you just like have such a strong like innate thing of like, I must learn these pieces. I didn't. I really struggled through it. I dragged my heels through the whole grade system, but I'm really grateful that I was forced to now.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, when I was about maybe 13 or 14, I was like, I want to get guitar, and I think I just honest, I love the Beatles, really. That from a young age, it was the Beatles and the Beach Boys. My dad got me into the Beatles, and my mum had this Beach Boys cassette that we used to play every summer in the car, and it brings back such fond memories. I love the songs. I just used to have visions of like, oh, what it must be like to be in these bands, and it's particularly like the Beach Boys. They sounded so cool. Like they just sound like absolute dudes. And like all these stories about these girls and the surfboards, and I was like, oh, I want to be in a band like that. Then obviously I saw what they actually looked like, and it's the biggest letdown because they're such dorks.
they only one of them actually surfs.
I know, only one of them was like cool and surfed, and he died an alcoholic. So, But yeah, but the thing, I guess, like, as you get older, it's like, oh, it doesn't. It's a you can like cultivate a sound that is more cool than you actually are. So I guess I took something from that. But I just I don't know, just like I think I saw a Rufus Wainwright document. No, I saw a Rufus Wainwright interview one time when they said like, "Why do you write songs?" And he said like, "Well, just like eat shit and write songs." And I think it's like I kind of take something from that too. It's like it's just what I do. It's my process. It's like when people paint or have a creative process. It's like sometimes something. I think it's most people are probably innately creative. It's just like somewhere in their upbringing, they probably are told like, "Oh, you're not very good at this" or whatever. So that's it stamps out of them. But luckily, I was encouraged to be creative, and so I don't know. I guess it was nurtured to an extent, and yeah, that's how I got into it. It becomes a force of habit. And you listen back to some of your earlier songs and think, oh, that's not good. I want to keep improving it, and you just want to get better.
That it makes that because I guess I asked that question to Zav too, because it's just like what made you start playing is usually the easier one to answer, but what made you start writing is seems to be a little tougher.
What did Zav say?
He said, if I remember, he was, he talked about being forced to play, piano as well. And he was like, and then I was going to do an impression. I was going to do an impression of him. He was like,
do one.
Zav, I'm sorry if you're watching this. And then I got a guitar and it was my own and I'll finally had it. And I was like, so he was just talking about
the Beatles.
Listen, I'm from California, all English people to everybody just sounds like the Beatles.
This is how Zav's like, I just got to get a guitar. Dad said, "Here's a guitar." I tried the bass. I think it was really good at that though.
But yeah, he was talking about how though he'd been forced to play piano, the guitar was like it was his choice to play it, and it was something that.
In fact, that's the same for me, really. Although now I'd say piano is more my main instrument, only in that I'm better at the piano than I am at the guitar. I still, when I started learning it, guitar was really the thing that got me into songwriting, and it did feel like, oh, this is my one, this is fun music, and piano was like, oh, boring. But then I started writing songs on the piano too, and I really like jazz and stuff like that. So I would like to be able to play good jazz piano. That's it's a pie in the sky idea. I can do sort of rudimentary jazzy stuff. I wouldn't say I can do jazz. I can do jazzy music. But that I could never do that on the guitar. But I have sort of a grounding on the piano where I could work from there to kind of do that one day. That's my sort of long-term goal. When I'm in my 60s, I hopefully will be able to be a bit better at that.
I have a thought. I lost my train of thought for a second.
I just red herringed that one.
No, that was a good answer. I thought of something and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, no, I guess.
So you write songs as well?
Well, I do. I've gotten to the point, like you said, I think like a couple days ago I got to the point where like I want to get better. Like I'm feeling that one. I do write music. I say write, but
yeah,
I try to.
Yeah. How old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
No, that's fine. I'm 16.
You're 16. Wow. I mean. Well, you got your whole life ahead of you. You're so confident and mature for a 16-year-old. I can't believe it. You're half my age. I'm 32. Can't believe it.
I don't know. It feels like getting to interview you and Zav now. It's like it's sometimes like I'll be sitting on my bed trying to write something. I'm like, God, I'm terrible. I can't do this. But everybody goes through that. I like
absolutely.
I ask everybody. It just seems like everybody goes through that.
Absolutely, and I think like even for songwriters who probably actually are good, they probably still have those times of self-doubt. But most songwriters don't find their sound or good songwriting style until a few years into the game. It's very unusual if people find that straight away. Like you do get the odd songwriter that struck gold straight away. You think about like say Oasis, who have a great debut album, and there are bands that have good debut albums. But I mean, that wasn't my story. I think that often it's 10,000 hours you need to spend doing something till you get good.
Oh yeah, I think that's
whatever it is.
Insane.
10 years, I'd say. Really, I started writing songs at 14, I think, and I would say by about 24. I was, I was, I was,
You're any.
I would say I was quite good by then, but there were songs I wrote back along the way that I thought were good, and then when I listened to them a few years later, I was like, oh my god, I'm embarrassed. But I think we're all probably quite harsh about our own past work, but yeah.
Yeah, it's something hard to understand, or for me at least, because I'm conscious of because I'm so into like watching interviews of like famous musicians or
Me
people
too. Yeah.
that are like, oh yeah, when I remember like Paul McCartney talked about writing stuff. I forgot what song it was called. He said he wrote something, and he when he was young, and he was like, oh, I listen to it now and it's bloody terrible. Oh, I hate it." It's like, so everybody goes through that. It's just kind of harder now that I know I'm conscious of it. Of like,
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna get good if I continue it till way later on down the line. But so like writing it, I was like, oh well, I have to practice. Like I think it's like you got to be bad at something to get good at it. Like it's gonna.
Yeah. But I think it's okay to, when you're writing a song, just be really into it and really proud of it, and not have that thing of like, oh, I'm writing my bad songs now to get through to the good ones. I think
Yeah.
like, that's kind of. I think you have to love each song and live in it, no matter what. Even now, I think there might be songs that I write now that in a few years I won't like. That's okay. You only have the present moment, and it's true. You only have, you could die tomorrow.
That's true.
You've got, so you got to do your best songs now and the best you can do. And I think like when they say like songs are a bit like children, you love them all equally, even your rubbish ones, like even the runty ones.
I remember the Billy Joel specifically, I think, said that once where he's like, some of my kids grow up to be doctors, lawyers, and some of them end up to be bums, and it's
Yeah,
thought that was
that's right. They're all your children, and you love them equally. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, what artists do you listen to? Like, what music do you find yourself listening to now, if not? You used to.
I have to hesitate looking at my Spotify because I feel like that's an extension of my brain. What I'm
Yeah.
Well, I've been listening to Weezer today
Oh,
and
Weezer.
yesterday.
Huh.
I mean, I mean, sometimes I listen to like old classics. Like I like bands like Weezer, like because they're really fun and they write great pop songs. And I like the fact that they're quite uncool and they're not that popular now in the sort of pitchfork world. So yeah, and I don't know, just listening to the Blue album, thinking like, oh, this is just incredible. How do you make music like this? And I was listening to a bit of Oasis today. I don't really listen to. I wouldn't listen to Weezer and Oasis normally, but I just had an urge to listen to some old classics that I liked when I was younger, and yeah, I was really impressed by it again. It's just bands like that are so good. Yeah, do you like bands like Oasis?
Weezer and Oasis are two bands that, like you said, in the pitchfork world, or at least not Oasis, but more Weezer. It's weird the like consensus of like critics are like, well, this isn't good at all, and then talking to people and like friend groups and stuff, and like it seems like the common consensus, internet wise, like community wise, is these bands are great, but
sometimes it's like people just like to hate on things for no reason.
I don't listen to them. I do like Weezer. Like my friend plays them. He's super into them, but I wouldn't say I go out of my way. I don't know enough about him, and I haven't gone out of my way to listen to them. But I like, for little I've heard, I like them.
I'm just gonna look at my Spotify now. So, because like I saw on I was listening to Billie Eilish.
Oh.
Just because I don't, when you hear like something that's really famous and you're like, oh, I need to know what it sounds like. Because and I listened to that album, I thought it was really good. The production was incredible and the songs were good. Like, when something's really famous and really popular, I have this urge to sort of think, oh, it's probably rubbish. I won't like it.
Yeah.
So after the kind of dust has settled a bit, I thought, you know what, I'll give this album a listen. And I thought, well, this is amazing. I mean, like they're like, I don't know, the brother was about 18 and he produced the whole thing, and it's really good production. And her voice is good and the songs are clever pop songs. So yeah, I thought that was good, and um, I've been getting into quite a lot of ambient electronic music recently. Stuff that I never would have listened to 10 years ago, even 3 years ago, I wouldn't have listened to it. And I think it's kind of symptomatic of where I am at my life at the moment because things are quite hectic
Mm.
for me. Um, Often I feel like I don't want to have frenetic pop music all the time, which I always have wanted. But now, as an older gentleman, I feel like sometimes I don't want music to rev me up. I want it to calm me down. And so when I'm like, I finish a day of work, or even when I'm at work, or I'm doing the dishes or whatever, I listen to some calming ambient music just to sort of chill me out a bit and give me some rest.
that yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not at that stage yet, but
No, I
I
was
mean,
gonna
there's plenty of younger people who like ambient music, but I never was. I was like, what's the point for that? But then,
I was gonna say I'm the same way. I don't. I'm
yeah,
like,
and that's fair enough. I would say it's functional music. It's music to do other things too. Sometimes, not always. I'm not going to lump all ambient and electronic artists together, but apparently Satie, the classical pianist,
I think
and composer. He's in like an impressionistic. You probably would have heard some of his stuff. It's like just gorgeous. Well, it sounds simple. It's not, but like almost like jazzy inflections, very calming piano music, and he is credited with kind of inventing ambient music because he did music for like this is music to host a dinner party to. This is music.
I've definitely heard of this guy. Then if it's
Yeah, his music to take tea to, and he was like in the early 1900s, I think, like 1920s maybe, and that's what ambient music really is. It's sometimes anyway. It's background music. It's music to do other things too. So sometimes it's just like a calming thing over real life.
Yeah, ambient. Most of my day is spent like wanting to do stuff. So ambient music is never like a thing I've dove into ever.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of any like other things because I know the type of stuff that you're into, and to be honest, when I see, you covering, like, I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through my Spotify at the moment so I can find it. No, because the thing is, I'm very much a modern listener now. I used to buy loads of CDs, collect them, and buy vinyls for a while until they got too expensive and I can't afford them anymore. But now I'm a Spotify listener, and I listen by, and I think you talked about the album listening versus playlist listening. With my albums with like artists that make great albums, and they like make them as a concise piece. I really do listen to the whole album. But sometimes with Spotify, if in times of the essence, and I'm like, oh, I want to get into some new music, or if I want to get into a particular artist, but there's a lot there to give me a bit of like a structure to my listening. I think, right, I'm going to make a best of playlist by this person. So I'm like, okay, that's my task in this. It makes me feel involved in the listening process, like an active listener. Otherwise, I just end up not listening. It's just like it's just being played, and I'm doing something else. But if I'm like, oh, my purpose of this is I've got to create a really cool playlist for myself of the best of a certain artist, then it gives me some purpose to it. So yeah, and I don't know if you know my favorite artist. One of my favorite artists is the bedroom recording legend of lo-fi music, R. Stevie Moore. Do you know him?
Stevie Moore. I've seen
R. Stevie Moore, Robert Stephen Moore.
I feel like my friend has recommended them before,
Yeah.
but I don't.
I've made the definitive playlist of his stuff on Spotify.
The
like,
Bible of,
it's like the best of our Stevie Moore. There's about 60 or 70 songs on there, and it's so good. And like, because that's a good introduction, because he's done about 400 albums. That's what
holy mackerel! Oh,
the thing is, when he says he's done 400 albums, some of them are just like him farting.
Oh.
But like some of them have really good songs, and the love and attention that's gone into all of it. It's rough around the edges, but I guess he's another one of those ones that you have to be an active listener for. You really have to like sift through it. You have to be a bit of an archaeologist with his music. There might be a whole album of like 20 tracks, and some of them are him just talking nonsense, like, and some of them might be some avant-garde noises, and then there'll be like the best pop song I've ever written halfway through it, and it's like it makes you feel it's really rewarding to find those songs and think, right, that's going on my playlist.
It's hard. It's hard for me to listen to like new artists that are recommended to me. Like the experience you're talking about.
He's not new though. He's not new. He's from the 70s.
Oh well, I was
up until now. He's an old man now.
I was gonna say it's like just the talking about like making best of playlists and stuff like that. If I get recommended music from like friends or stuff, it's usually hard because it's. I think a part of it's like me, like I don't want. I've got my own music. I don't need your music. Yeah. I think there's a part of me. I try not to do it, but I think it's just
a slight snobbishness. You mean?
Yeah, I think there's a part of me that sticks my nose up. It's like, I'd rather listen to
Harry Nilsson.
Beatles, Harry Nilsson.
Yeah. Beatles. Well, I mean, and it's good that you're noticing that. And I was exactly. I don't know. To be honest, I can still be a music snob. Mm-hmm. But I was scathing about any modern music for years. I was horrible about it, and then Zav was too. We would just be anyone else's music taste was like rubbish, and ours was good. Anyone that had music taste that was similar to ours were good. But when as you get older, you realize, wait, a good music taste just means similar to your own.
Yeah,
it's completely subjective. It's like if you like it or don't like it. You can't tell someone like I could say the Beatles are better than. I'm trying to think of a band that's like. Not One Direction. I could say the Beatles are better than One Direction, and someone could say like, no, they're not. I like One Direction more, and they'd be right because it's just a matter of opinion.
It's completely like, I could show there could be the best pop song ever, like, or the best song ever written.
Yeah.
But if it's in a genre someone doesn't like, or maybe they're not into the vocals, it's completely just by ear or opinionated, I guess.
Or for some reason it doesn't move them because everyone's got their own set of life experience that lead them up to that way of listening. Mm-hmm. Like all the things they've been played as a child, for the brain chemistry that makes one song move them and another one not. But yeah, and I think actually because we were only listening to old music, and then I think Zav at one stage was like, what did he start listening to? I think it was Mac DeMarco, because I remember you mentioned Mac DeMarco last time.
Oh yeah.
Someone said, is it that Hippie John? From that one of those songs. Is that
someone said it was a reference to one of their songs,
but he referenced he mentions Missing Hippie John.
Oh, that's why. No, exactly.
But he was referencing Jonathan Richman. Do you know Jonathan Richman?
Don't think I do.
Because I think you'd probably like him. He's not as like because I know you're into like melody and harmony and stuff. He's not really. He's a bit more. I don't know, punky in his ethos, like very, very naive songwriting, and he's amazing. But he has a song called "I'm Straight," and that's got Hippie John. It's basically about how he's sober, and it's like, and he's slagging off this guy, Hippie John, who's always stoned, and so that's where Hippie John was supposed to be.
Hey, John here. Just wanted to cut into the show to kind of take this time to advertise to you. I mean, I'm not making money off of the thing, so not really advertisements, but shout out or guest stuff. Well, anything specific. Everything will be in the description, as always, to their stuff. But Itchy Teeth has a new album out right now called Welcome to the Picnic. Of course, Charlie Hanna's in Itchy Teeth, along with Zav Clarke and Ollie Booker, who we have not had on yet, but feel like we kind of have to. It's kind of triforce of Itchy Teeth members. So I'll get to that. But check it out. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, Bandcamp, where they're selling CDs, and you might want to cop one of those because boy knows if I am gonna. So yeah, I mean, so one of my favorite tracks. They're all very, very good material, folks. Like, I'm not even just saying this because I had them on my show. I absolutely adore the album more than anything else released 2020 or 2021. One of my favorite tracks off of it is called Semi Precious. But I mean, Erica, Tying Up Loose Ends, There's an Android in My House. I mean, I could just read off all the songs and tell you they're my favorites because, I mean, they're really good. But yeah, I just wanted to thank Charlie Hanna again for coming on the show. I want to thank you, the listener, for listening to my program. And there's more on the way soon. This one took a lot longer of a break for this one to come out, but there'll be more. hopefully sooner than later. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Is that a Ringo Starr album in the background?
Yeah, it's Goodnight Vienna.
Oh, cool.
That one and Ringo's, what is it? It was just called Ringo. Those are like the only two good
I've
Ringo
never
Starr.
listened to any of Ringo's solo stuff.
There's some gems in there. There's some good. Usually they're written by John or George.
Yeah.
But yeah, Goodnight Vienna. Harry's on a lot of them because Harry.
Yeah, well, they're best mates, weren't they? Is there a song called "I'm the Greatest"?
Mm-hmm. That's John wrote it for.
Yeah.
That one's a good one. There's like 2 Ringo albums that are I'd say are any good, but
yeah, even pushing it probably to say that they're that good.
Well, no, Ringo. I think it's just called Ringo. It's got like a Sgt. Pepper cover looking thing, and that one is I think people agree is one of the just like comparatively to like the Beatles solo stuff, it gets pretty high up there, and that's saying something because of just out of all the Beatles solo stuff.
The Beatles solo stuff is quite patchy in places, isn't it? Really, I wonder who's the most consistent. Who do you reckon?
The most consistent. I want to say it's Paul. I want to say Paul.
I reckon I would agree with that, to be honest. I would say the most patchy is John.
Yeah.
John is like, he's got some ones that are great, and then some just unlistenable stuff, like Sometime in New York City. Yeah, I couldn't put it on.
Yeah, and it sucks too because I'm like, oh, it's John Lennon. It's all his solo stuff's got to be great, and I listen to it like,
it's just not. Yeah, he just got lazy. I think he knew he was a genius. He was so good that he just couldn't be bothered. And it's like, and Paul, I think, probably had more of like a work ethic.
And it sucks too because Paul gets ragged on a lot because there's a couple, even his bad albums that are just like the entire album is bad. There's still like,
there's always a good stuff.
There's always like one of the greatest songs ever written on it, and it's
yeah. People are unnecessarily harsh on Paul, and I think if he had died and John was still alive, it would have been
the other way around.
Yeah.
I think it was just because Paul got blamed originally for the breakup of the Beatles, and Paul's kind of seen as the cutesy one, like he writes pop songs, the popular pop songs.
Yeah. People think he's a bit smarmy and stuff like that, and it's John's more down to earth and cynical. But
I think it was the other way around. I feel it's wild to me that like talking to other people that like the Beatles, it's always like, oh yeah, Paul's like a sellout or whatever. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, also, I think if it was these days, someone like John Lennon who was sitting in beds, doing his arty things and being the Messiah, people would find that very annoying.
They'd be like, oh, who's this?
Yeah,
who's this guy who thinks he knows? It's like literally the song Paul wrote, "How Do You Sleep at Night?" Would be.
No, John wrote that. Yeah, it's horrible.
Or wait, is it no, sorry.
Yeah.
Paul wrote the Too Many People. That's the one about John being like Paul wrote this. Yeah, that one's about How Do You Sleep at Night's about or not How Do You Sleep at Night? Too Many People.
Too Many
about
People.
John.
Is that about John then?
It's about John and Yoko being like you guys telling everybody what to do. Like, get off your high horse kind of thing.
I did not know that. Interesting. There's this new Paul McCartney documentary on YouTube. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's
Is it?
It's weird because I think I don't know who made it, but it's certainly not a big release. It's like it doesn't seem like it's got much money involved, but it's long. I mean, I've only seen the first part because I haven't got that much time for it. But
I don't know the other artists.
5 parts.
5. Oh, yeah. I saw the commercial, or not commercial. He posted something like his on his Instagram. He like posted it was some other artist, and it doesn't. It like why would I don't know. I feel like if it was like a money kind of centric guy,
you think that surely there would be some more people to invest in like a really good biopic, but maybe they're just not biopic documentary. Maybe they're just waiting till he passes away. Yeah.
I can't wait. Oh God! When Paul dies, there's gonna be like a billion trillion things of like the Paul McCartney story.
Yeah. So who's you obviously live with your dad because he asked you to
go to
yeah. Who else is who do you live with?
I have my mother and I have my brother. That's
Oh,
older.
is your brother older or younger?
Yeah, he's 18. Yeah.
He's 18. Okay, and is he into music as well?
He's into music, not my. I'm the black sheep of the family.
Really?
No one in my family besides an uncle who, like one uncle, listens to rock and roll or pop or any of that. They
So what do they listen to?
yeah, I just what's it called? Like Spanish pop, like Mexican pop, like whatever is
Really?
popular
Yeah.
there. A lot of hip hop,
Yeah.
and kind of oldies, like what would be like classic rock for I guess in America with that in like, but in Mexico it's called oh, I forgot the name. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it. It's like think like folk music, but yeah.
Yeah. So how did you find all this type of old 60s and 70s songwriting?
Jeez, I was never into music when like growing up, because I just didn't really like what my parents listened to, or my brother. I remember enjoying some of it, but it wasn't really my, at least being younger, I didn't really get into it. And then I got Spotify, and I'd been listening to musicals for a while, and that was
Really?
kind of all I listened to when I was
Les Miserables and stuff like that.
more obscure. Like
Really?
I had a theater teacher who is like, how the hell do you know any of this stuff? It was like stuff like Fiddler on the Roof and like
Oh, right,
Little
yeah,
Shop of
the old-
Horrors, really old musicals that no one my age at the time had ever heard of. And then one time, and then I got this recommended song on my Spotify, and it was Elton John's "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" cover. And for the longest time, I thought he had written it.
Yeah.
So I got into Elton John like beginning of high school, and then Billy Joel. I found out who he was, and then I this is funny. I hated the Beatles' "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" for a
Because you
while.
like the Elton one.
Yeah, I was like, Elton did a way better job. and then I realized, no, I just, because I found Elton, that's why I liked his better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was a weird path to getting to the music that I listen to now.
Well, so yeah, what made you listen to musicals in the first place then? What got you into listening to that?
Well, I think it was mostly because of I love Disney movies, and like so, and they have a bunch of musicals. So I think that is what got me into musicals, and then
that's what I think
kind of
that's
leaned into actual Broadway stuff.
Yeah. So like, and then from there, the internet really helped you to sort of like, it said like, if you like this, you'll probably like this, and they're right.
Exactly.
Normally, it's like that's how I've got into a lot of artists now, and I've once I've got into the artists, I think I pretend like, oh, the internet didn't have any part of that. I have a unique relationship with the music of this artist, but often it's like, thank you to the set of instructions that sent this artist towards me. But I think it's interesting that you like there's Disney films, and then the musicals, and then music of the Beatles and Harry Nilsson, and it's like that. It's a similar style of songwriting. Often the Beatles and music and Harry Nilsson and Billy Joel, it's not straight up rock and roll. It is more like musical. It's clever work, clever, funny words, interesting chord structures, and it's not like it's not rock and roll really. It's
really
clever.
Yeah, I like rock and roll. I wouldn't. People always ask me, and I have to say like, oh, I listen to rock and pop, but But if I think I did break it down, I don't listen to rock as much as like, I can't say to someone, oh, I listen to musical kind of pop kind of stuff, because they wouldn't
understand exactly what you meant.
But if I said rock, they'd assume, oh, Beatles and stuff. So it's, but rock. I guess rock musical pop. I don't know.
Yeah.
Talking about the kind of Spotify stuff. There's another question. I asked Zav about it, and he was like, "Oh, those are Hannah songs." And I was like, "Oh, okay. He was like, "You should ask him." The songs are Ambient Tofu, Ambient Tofu. Laura, let me see your algorithm.
Yeah.
And then your new stuff. Yeah, Itchy Teeth's new stuff. Welcome to the Picnic.
Yeah.
It feels very internet heavy. Do you find yourself like writing that stuff just because it's in your like day-to-day kind of it comes up in life because the internet's a big part, or do you find like trying to parody the internet kind of take the piss
Take
out
the
of it?
mick out of it. Yeah. I think when you asked this to Zav, I remember thinking like, yeah, he's spot on. I agree with what he said, which is often what we're like. I'm just like, yeah, he's right. I agree. So I'm not. I'm going to try and like not think about what Zav said, but
Mm-hmm.
answer from the heart right now. Um, a bit of both to what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, I think um, as a songwriter, my style is very much to respond to what's happening right now for me in my life, um, and the internet is a big part of it, and being addicted to my phone and on social media the whole time against my wishes. Um, addicted to screens, but not. But it's like a love-hate thing, isn't it? And I think it's quite complicated that we all have that. Um, and yeah, I, I think, um, yeah, I don't know. I think because for me, I can't see why that wouldn't be a big subject for people to write more songs about.
The internet and just
Yeah, and the internet and social media and scroll. Because I think what sets me apart from many songwriters is that the same old topics come up time and time again in a lot of songwriting, and I think why we've covered, like, for instance, love
yeah.
so many times, and I think like there's obviously place for love in songs. I still write love songs, but they're a proportion of it. But because I think the whole of life, there's so many things that happen in it.
Yeah, why
and
write about the same thing?
the same thing. The falling in love, the excitement bit is just is a part of it. Um, I think it comes down to what sells, and I think those sort of in social media they call it the heightened arousal emotions, which is like extremes of feelings, and like that falling in love is obviously an extreme feeling, but the most of life isn't like that, uh, and social media and algorithms and the digital world is such a huge part of our lives that I do feel like as a songwriter I need to respond to that, just I guess to process it. And then also, yes, you were right, sometimes I like to parody it, and I think Zav hit the nail on the head when he said that we're kind of, because we come from the slightly older generation where it wasn't around so much when we were younger. Although there was YouTube and MySpace, it wasn't such a big thing. There are bands like the Arctic Monkeys and stuff who did use MySpace and get big on that, but it was a very different thing.
It was like the Stone Age of the internet.
It was a stone age of the internet, yeah. So we did use YouTube to watch like videos of Supergrass and Oasis when we were at university, and interviews with Lou Reed and stuff like that. But we really were CD buyers. And so when I think there's funny, like this kind of bemused older man going like, "Oh, this is what real life is now. This is what success means. Here's my name online, and the bigger the number next to your name, the more success you have." And it's just funny, and I think it's worth having a laugh at, because why are we doing this? What's the point? Like, if that's what success is, I guess you have more opportunities and money or whatever, but like really that success, especially in the pandemic, you can't even gig.
Yeah,
like,
so it's just literally seeing the number.
Literally just a slightly larger number, and it's like, and it would stroke my ego a bit more to have a bigger number next to my name than Charlie Hanna. I get these things from Spotify, like emails. How many listeners have you got? Charlie Hanna, you have had 22 listeners this past month. And I'm like, I know one of those is you, so thank you for listening. But I'm like, oh yeah, I would like that number to be bigger, but I have to remember it's not the be all and end all. And it's like, when would I be satisfied? I would like to have more listeners, but yeah.
I guess it is, because if I was put in a position of like you guys where you're making music, I guess it does kind of feel I figure it'd kind of feel nice to have a smaller number on Spotify, and then just be like gigging all the time, because then it's like, who cares? Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want to be like a super popular person on Spotify, but no one wants to hear me live at all.
Yeah,
or,
well, I mean, you
like
do get
not
those
being able
people.
to go around.
That's right, because I know some people who are not doing any better than us, sort of in real life, but somehow on Spotify they have millions of listeners, and it's like, there are ways to get those listeners, but it normally involves having quite a lot of money behind you, maybe decent manager who can get you into some playlists or something. But like, I don't know, like it beats me. I've tried to, I've done the thing of like trying to send. Well, we've done it with Itchy Teeth, and in fact, we got one song in a playlist once. We got the Brian Wilson Is Still Alive one because we paid for a PR campaign. It's the only time we've ever paid for like a PR campaign. Like when was it? 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and it was. I mean, it was really a kind of waste of money because it didn't really do anything. We didn't get playlisted or anything. But the one thing was we got the song put in. When I say playlisted, I mean playlisted on the radio, the real radio, which is what you want. But we just got put in a Spotify playlist, and that was Brian Wilson Is Still Alive, and because of that one's got like 1,000 more listeners than the other one, and it's like, and that's how you discovered that one, isn't it?
Here's the I didn't find it because of someone's. I was gonna say I didn't find it because someone put it in a playlist. I found it because I searched Brian Wilson.
Yeah,
and I found.
But I think that's probably how it was quite far up. Or maybe because it said Brian Wilson, you're like songs or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was on songs, so like titles with Brian Wilson in them. Yeah, but I think that's the reason. Like I can't imagine. I think if things would have gone differently and I heard it on a playlist, I would have enjoyed the song. I don't think I would have looked into the band. But because I found it through like some secondhand, like, oh, what's this? I think I felt like personal. It's like, oh, this is something I can hold on to.
And I'm the same in my musical approach. I think there's two types of people. There's people who kind of get spoon fed things, and people there's nothing wrong with that. It's just maybe they're not like music lovers. They just like music. It's cool, and and they're going to hear what's played to them on a playlist or the radio, and they'll be like, oh, this is nice. I like this cool song. And then there's people like us who want to feel like, oh, I'm going to search out for my own thing that I really like. Oh, I found that, I love it. And it's like, they might really like, say, football or I don't know, climbing. They have some other passion that they really like doing, and they know like the particular type of shoe that they need for climbing. I don't know, a harness. But but for me it's music as well, and I think before it was like sifting through CDs and vinyls and going, oh, look at this one, this is amazing, I like the cover of this, taking a chance. I
can't imagine. I have a record player and some vinyls. I can't imagine living in like the time where just vinyls and CDs were the be all end all of like buying music, because like, I mean, obviously I grew up with like the internet in my hand, so obviously it's harder for me to imagine, but it's like discovering music would just be either you somehow heard it on the radio and then you went to the shop and then you found the exact like single or maybe album or the band, or I would imagine just looking at the covers and be like, oh, that one's cool, and taking it and hoping to God it was any good. And the amount of money you'd have to spend on it to take those chances. I mean, now we don't have to. We just like click, try that one, and then we'll be like, yeah. And I guess it was more of a sociable thing then as well. So you have to say, like, oh, what have you heard? What have you listened to? Oh yeah, but word of mouth. Like,
So I mean, it's a completely different thing now.
I tell my friends who I have a friend who wants to was talking to me how he's gonna get a record player and get some vinyls. I was like, don't do it. It's not worth it. You're going to play them like once and then probably. I do it. It's a real niche now, I think, vinyls. Because I buy it because I like the album art. I love seeing the, like, I think to me, it's the same thing as well, because it's like, I guess maybe I can tell that it's a nicer sound quality than Spotify, maybe. But those people that say, "Oh, it's about all the it's the better." It's it sounds, these vinyl purists. It's because of the sound of it often. But it's like you have to have an amazing sound system as well. Great, great leads, great amp, great. You have to, because if you have like a really nice vinyl and even a nice vinyl player, but you don't have great speakers, for instance, it's well, you might as well listen to it on your Beats headphones, Spotify. It's probably going to be better. So you're only as strong as your weakest link in the chain. Yeah, it's vinyl. I guess to that effect, vinyl purists are the people who have like the best 50-foot speakers hooked up to their record players. Probably are.
But that's the thing, like, as well. Some of the music I like, going back to Ask Stevie Moore, like it's recorded terribly. It's really bad in a, sort of an audio level. It's like it's hissing everywhere. It's not mastered nicely. It's someone's really trebly. I'm not very balanced. And so I think it's like what you're listening to music for. Some people want like that perfect sound, and some people want something else. And for me, it's more about character and the song, rather than the complete perfect sound.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't want the. That's why it's hard explaining to people. Like, I tried to get a friend to listen to one of your songs, Adaptogen, and obviously bad mistake for trying to introduce someone off that song initially. Yeah. But they were like, "What is this?" And I was like, "You don't." And I was like, "You don't get the point. It's not. It's." The character is what makes me love it so much. How wacky and the song.
I mean, that is you know, it depends whether you were trying to actually get him into my.
I would I was just. I
just think this is someone I like, yeah, because like you know, it depends what music he likes. I mean, what does he like?
Let's see. He listens to a lot of Kanye West. Do you know who Tally Hall is? A little bit of them.
No, don't think so.
They're getting bigger because of the internet in the U.S. and it's like a meme going around. But that song, I don't actually. Yeah, just a lot of hip hop and that. A little bit of the
tell right away he's probably not going to be into me then because my music is about as white as it gets.
But I just because what we do is we'll like message each other, want to do a song trade, which we just send each other a song and just listen to it. And I was telling him, okay, I got a wild one for you today, and I showed him Adaptogen.
Oh, okay.
And I explained to him that it's the reason I like it is because of just the character and like it doesn't. There's this song by an artist I found recently called Inchworm, which is it's terribly like produced. Yeah, I think it's. I don't know who the artist is, but I think it's bedroom pop where it's just some guy in his room recording it. Yeah. And it's like a bunch of harmonies, but they're all off sync. And the lyrics are like so spacey and it just makes for a fun song to listen to. It's just it feels like it's like a waltz, I think, and it's really slow and inchworm, and it's the wildest thing. But I'll find myself listening to it because it's like that was fun. I felt like I was
well. You can tell that whoever made that, you've had some connection with that person because they've come out, their stuff's come out purely as they wanted it, with all its frailty and character and sort of idiosyncrasies, and it's met your ears, and then that's it. There's you and that person, but then if it's some really famous polished pop thing, it's like. Someone's written it, and then someone said, "No, you can't have that." It's been written by like 20 people, and then it's gone through like people say, "Oh, no, you can't do that. You can do this." And then there's about 50 producers trying to make it sound like the loudest thing in the world, and it's so polished, and then the vocals are all tuned and crisp and perfect. Yeah. And then you get this sort of watered down version of it, and it's not really. I think sometimes like collaboration can be good, but sometimes if it's like one person's vision can be stronger. Just because it's like it's an individual take on things, and the more people that you put into the mix, the more watered down the idea can become.
There was this one Justin Bieber song called I don't even know what it's. I don't listen to it, but my brother started playing one of his albums one time, and I was going through his stuff because I hadn't heard of him. Like when I was younger, everybody's like, Justin Bieber, because that was like the thing to joke about. But I was looking at the credits of this song, and it's like. Literally, I think 20 people or like 10 people wrote it, like crediting writing. It's like, how
do they even do it? I don't get it. It's like,
do one person writes each word? How did you get that many people to write one song?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how those things work, but yeah, it seems like all these songs are written by like a whole board of people.
I literally the visual that comes up is like a boardroom meeting of like, all right, let's write a pop song.
Well, that's right. I mean, they just probably have like. Boxes to tick, like you know, like themes that they want to have. They probably think, what's selling right now? What's big? Because that's the purpose.
It was a love song. I'll give them that. Yeah, it was a love song.
I mean, it's going to be a love song. It's going to be someone like sexy in the club dancing, and there's going to be someone fancying someone else. And
you just described the song. Well, one of the things we kind of this is a fun one. It's kind of off the. I had a bunch of questions listed down, but
we've just rambled. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one I want to make sure to get. You write what you've coined the phrase domestica, which is music about really mundane things. Like you have songs called bookkeeping, do the dishes, washing machine.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Why do you enjoy writing it so much?
Well, I think it's come back to what I was saying before, is that just trying to, for me as a songwriter, I like to write about what I can see and real life, and try and be as like try not to shroud everything in too many metaphors. Obviously you can, but like I just like to try and talk about what's happening to me. And not try and make life sound cooler than it is, but try and find meaning in what I'm doing, like even the mundane things, like folding clothes or whatever. I feel that's always something quite meditative, and it's time to think about. If I get this if I'm really present with this shirt folding, then I'm going to feel good about myself. Like I don't know, when you do you go running or do any exercise?
I do biking like that. That's
when you're biking, do you ever feel like, if I get up this hill, that's like it's a metaphor for some other challenge I have in my life?
I'll get like sometimes I'll be biking. It's like it feels like like that scene in the movie where the characters suddenly, like I feel like it's like, oh, I'm a changed man because I went on this bike ride. I'm new.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think it's like sometimes using one seemingly mundane thing as it fits into something a bit like more grander and philosophical maybe, and and with Domestica, that came about because I was doing a gig maybe about 4 years ago, and I was playing. It was I've only been doing solo stuff for maybe about 4 years, and I think I'd only done my first album at that point, and I was playing a gig in Margate, and I was announcing the songs and blah blah blah, and I was like, and this one's about washing machine, and this one's about tidying, and this one's about and I was like, oh, this is another one about housework. And I just thought, I realised, I hadn't realised that I was writing a lot of songs about those sorts of things, but I just thought, this is funny that there are quite a few songs about housework. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to embrace it and just try and make a thing of it. And just because, I'm special and different, I thought I need to make a micro genre that only I'm in. But, it's ridiculous because essentially I'm making pop music, and there are a few songs that have some like mundane topics, but there are plenty of songwriters that have talked about mundane things, sort of kitchen sink dramas, and I mean, I reckon one day I will make a Domestica playlist of like other artists who've done those sorts of songs, because there are songs that when I've listened to, there's an Arthur Russell song. I can't remember what it's called, but he's tidying his room. I don't know if you know Arthur Russell. He's like a guy he plays cello. He's kind of experimental cellist, but also does kind of dancey pop music as well. He died, I think, in the 90s, but sort of around in the 80s. He's very trendy now. Like, he was unknown at the time, but then he's become one of those artists championed by the hipsters, and he'll find you on Spotify. Like, I've had to sort of remove him from my people on Spotify. I've had to cancel him because he gets played too much on my particular algorithm. It annoys me now. But he's got this one particular song about tidying, and when I heard it, I was just like, it filled me with such joy, because it was just so mundane. I can imagine him sort of like tidying away his vinyls and stuff, and I just thought there was something really endearing about it. So that's why. But to be honest, although in the Domestica thing, like that, I've said it's like, it's hobbies, housework, and the human condition. The human condition, like, that encompasses basically everything. So I've given myself a very wide
genre.
Wide genre. I can just write about anything really, and it's still Domestica. But I don't know how long I'm going to be saying about Domestica, because like the new things that I'm working on. Well, there's the Itchy Teeth album. Mm-hmm. There's the Starfish Men stuff, and then there is some solo material coming as well. And there's not really any houseworky songs on there. I guess there's more about like internet and things like that. There are more kind of technological ones, and so that's kind of maybe more of the area that I'm a bit more interested in.
I don't know. I'd argue internet songs are also kind of Domestica too, because they're taken for granted. Like, the internet's taken for granted of how.
I think it's just anything that's kind of mundane, really. And like, I think I don't know if you've seen. I made a Spotify blurb about this, and I tried to make it succinct, but I think saying like most songs are about like that kind of tip of the iceberg of reality,
Hmm.
but there's this whole other thing which is the boring day-to-day stuff that we just don't talk about because it's not warranted as interesting.
Everybody does it, so why? It's not something
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and I think it's about kind of comes back to what I was saying first. It's like that's life too. That's like if most of our life is taken up with say sleeping or going to work or doing the dishes, let's talk about it. Let's. It shouldn't always be like. And I think I'm not saying it shouldn't or should because people write great escapist music and I listen to escapist music too and I like that as well. But I don't know. I just feel like there's more to be said about doing the dishes that hasn't been said yet in songwriting form.
Yeah. Dishes.
And also,
I'd
it's just
argue
yeah.
dish songs are a niche.
But like it's also like I like sometimes it's about the music too. So it's like if you've got a nice melody and stuff, sometimes a lot of people don't even listen to words; they just like music. And so I feel like they can just listen to a song about the dishes and not even care that it's about the dishes. They might just like the music.
Oh, sorry. I had a teacher. The first time I realized people didn't listen to lyrics was because I'd listen to musicals, and I mean musicals. A whole like
Yeah.
a big chunk of it is
It's
just
very
that,
wordy.
like lyric. Yeah. And I was talking to a teacher, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I don't listen to. I just listen to the music. Really, I don't really care about the lyrics." And that was when I realized
Yeah. Yeah.
the different reasons people
Yeah.
listen to songs, and I was like, "That's crazy. How could you not pay attention to lyrics?" And then I realized not every genre really focuses
No,
on how
some of them
great
don't.
the.
No, some of this might just be using like one word repetition, and it's yeah. And to be honest, like that's the thing. Like now I'm telling you, I said about listening to ambient and electronic music. There's often no words, or might just be the odd word here and there, because it's for a different purpose. I don't want to be entertained sometimes. I just want to shut off. Because also as a song, I'm not sure if you're the same, but as a songwriter, I'm often thinking about, oh, that's an idea to put in a song. I want to, there's
Uh-huh.
words happening sometimes in my brain that I don't want to always have other things going on.
I'll get once like sometimes I'll be sitting in my room and I'll get like phrases or
Mm.
like things I'll like and I'll be like, oh, I gotta write that down. I kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Music's weird. Not every. That's kind of the I guess the through line. Oh, here's a fun one. I literally wrote that down. I think 5 minutes before I started the Zoom call. It was, do you think you could describe like your thought process, or do you think like the main overall theme of all your solo albums in a couple words or less?
uh, all of my albums in a couple of words or less. Um,
Or like what you're like,
I
your
don't probably not.
thought process, no? Your thought process,
I,
or what do you think you like the album's about? I know not every album's a concept album, but do you
oh
think
no,
there's like a
each
theme?
album you mean? Each album?
Yeah.
I think about all of them. Yeah. Okay. So, the first one, Who's in Charge Here? It was like, um, there's quite a lot of anger in that one, like confusion, coming of age,
Mhm.
existential crisis maybe. I mean, I think when I listen back to that one, I feel like there's some, there's like it's quite angry. Like even the way I'm singing, I'm like, there's a lot of energy up here. I'm like, oh, there's a lot to prove and everything. And yeah, and then the second album is Hannah in the Works, and I don't. That one's. I'm trying to think. I don't know how to. Yeah, that one is very much a bedroomy one. So kind of. Yeah, I don't know actually how to describe that. That was a step forward from the other one because the first one I recorded like with proper musicians all
Mhm.
together. Well, not together. We took it in turns. But there's like Zav on the first one, Big M the Itchy Teeth bass player, Ollie's on a couple of songs, and this other drummer who was also an Itchy Teeth for a bit is on it too on the first album. The second one, it's just all me. I know. Finding my way, to be honest, that was how I described that
Uh-huh.
second one. Learning how to produce, learning how to do stuff in my bedroom studio. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I was learning a lot. And then the third one is Standing on the Verge of Getting a Cold. That is, I don't know, um, sprawling double album. That's the word people always say, sprawling in front of double album, but that's what I was trying to go for. There, I was trying to go for a sprawling double album with like loads of different styles, and I wanted it to be a bit mad, like just throw everything at the wall and see what it looks like.
I never thought about that. Huh? It is a double album. I always looked at. I never thought about
So
that.
you see it, there's 18 songs, which I guess is. In my head, I was making a double album, and I wanted it to be like one of those, like a lo-fi sprawling double album is the vibe, and then with lots of different styles, and then Special and Different is more concise. I think I was again I used proper other players on that one. So with the house plant, so it's got all different people that my friends and co-musicians on that one. And no, that one I guess would be described in the title. Especially, I think that one is special and different. That's the theme of it, like because of the millennial complex of feeling like you are special on some level. So no is the answer. I can't think of 2 words for each album, but there's a little summary there.
Rats. See, do I have any? Could I? We're kind of. I think we're wrapping to the end here, but
yeah.
I wanted to ask. I have a bunch of lists because a bunch of questions, but Zav covered a lot of it, and I feel like it'd be kind of potato the same kind of answer. So, but I wanted to ask about something that I feel like you don't only be able to answer. Toothpaste worldwide. I just have like, how did it come about? What do you? Yeah. What is it? Or like.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good question. That is, it came about, but I don't know when we thought of the name. Well, we used to. I'll tell you what. We used to do a fanzine, an Itchy Teeth fanzine called. Was it called Toothpaste? Yeah, it was called. It was just called Toothpaste. That was the name of the fanzine. I don't know why I had to question myself there. It was called Toothpaste, and it only did. I say only, but we did 6 issues, and it was a massive feat to do it. I was the editor, and I'd get like all the bandmates had to submit an article or 2, and then I'd get loads of friends who all had different skills, or they were artists, or designers, or writers, or cartoonists. They'd all submit something to it, and so it was a labor of love. It was a real slog to do. I really enjoyed it, but it was hard work because being even on a sort of small level fanzine, I found it was a lot of work to try and coordinate it all, get everyone to send their articles in, kind of edit it together. But it was very handmade, and I really enjoyed doing it. I love fanzines and stuff like that. I know fans are supposed to make fanzines, but I thought no one was making one, so I wanted to be a band that had a fanzine, had a zine, and I used to do interviews with other bands as well, and write those up and put them in there, and then I don't know, we stopped doing that, and I just liked the idea that there was this world created for toothpaste. It's sort of like the for the Itchy Teeth family, and I've reviewed one of Zav's albums in there, and I've talked about Itchy Teeth albums. And then I think it's because since when I moved to Margate and Zav moved to Germany, we started doing more of our solo stuff, and then we did Starfish Men as well, and we had more side projects started to take a bit more of the foreground, not foreground, but they started to be a bit more prominent rather than just Itchy Teeth. So I wanted to have like a brand, really, something that would say, oh, this is in the toothpaste family, and it was just Toothpaste Records. That's what I wanted to call it. Actually, it was going to be Dental Records because that has a funny pun to it, but there's already a Dental Records. Then it was going to be Toothpaste Records, and then I found out there already is a Toothpaste Records. So then I thought, I know who knew, but I thought Toothpaste Worldwide was really good because it's kind of stolen from. Have you seen Step Brothers?
Oh, I can't remember, but I definitely see it.
There's a bit where like the 2 idiot stepbrothers are trying to start up a brand, and they're like, black leather gloves. It's called Prestige Worldwide. Why? The first word in entertainment. And I just like the idea of making this like stupid, over the top, rubbish like record label that doesn't really do anything, but it's just really over the top and kind of satirical, taking the piss a bit, and also a good excuse to write some funny social media posts. So that's why I call it Toothpaste Worldwide, because it's a piss take of the Prestige Worldwide.
I was gonna say I like the especially social media stuff. It's like a pretend, there's some pretend office out there and like a bunch of workers that work at this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and obviously everyone knows it's just me. Just sitting on my phone, like probably on the toilet or something. Yeah, and then so I would, if one day I had money or something, it would be like a label. But right now it's more, I like to think of it as a family. It's the Toothpaste Worldwide family, where we all put out stuff, and it's just another Instagram page essentially for me to point people towards things. Yeah, so I think that's right. I think it's to sort of attract the if people like one thing, to hopefully send them towards another. So if someone likes itchy teeth, they might see on Toothpaste Worldwide, oh, Zav and Charlie do solo things as well, and then there's Starfish Men. And if I do something about Zav's music because his thing's doing well, then maybe it will come towards itchy teeth or me or whatever. So it's like a way of kind of just everyone helping each other out so we can all eat.
It's a good cause. It's a good cause. Well, this is a scrambled one, but I like it. It was fun.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for pioneering us and playing us to your friends, even if they don't like it. I thank you for listening and supporting us. It really means a lot. And yeah, so to know someone in America who's really into our stuff and
it's good it feels nice to try and show other people. Like, I understand that why people are into like really, or I guess like underground stuff. Like, there's the kind of the stereotype like, well, I only listen to underground stuff, but it makes sense.
Well, you really do.
It feels more personal. Yeah. It's kind of
absolutely.
a nice connection.
And there is also something to be said for when you try and introduce something to someone and they don't like it. Like, it's like, yeah, it's just for me. I sometimes find that with our Stevie Moore, and I've tried so many times to get people into that, and sometimes like, yeah, it's all right, but they've never gone off and gone like, Charlie, thank you for getting me into Stevie Moore, which is what I would do to someone because it's moved me that much. If I could find the person that got me into him, which it wasn't, it was Spotify, I would be like, thank you, this is so good, and I've done that with some artists probably, but yeah, so I think like when you try and get someone into something and they don't like it, it's almost more special.
Yeah, because it's another layer of, because it's wild to think like listening to Itchy Teeth, I try and recommend it to someone and they don't like it. It'll be like, actually no, it's hard because even then I recommend it to like two of my friends. I don't know if they went out of their way and continued to listen to more Itchy Teeth stuff, but I got them to listen to Threeth. And they're oh, I really, really liked Ambient Tofu and Laura, Let Me See Your Algorithm. And I don't know if they said that just because those were the first two tracks.
Those are the first two songs.
That's all they listened to. But it was nice. It's like, well...
The fact they listened to those two, I'm glad about that.
But, yeah, it is more personal. But yeah, no problem. I'm going to keep on yelling and screaming my head off about you guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I remember Zav said the same thing, but when you've done your stuff and done an EP or whatever, send it over. I'd love to hear it.
When I do it, or if I ever do it, I will.
Well, dude, you got time. Don't worry.
That's true. That's true. I've got hopefully all the time in the world.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks, John.
Thank you for helping me ramble about music. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to thank you for listening, of course, like I did earlier, but still. This one was a fun one. I gotta say, I went into it thinking it was gonna be an interview. I had a bunch of questions lined up, but it really went off tangent, and it was so much fun. Once again, I keep on doing it, but thank you, Charlie Hanna, for being on the show. You can check out all his stuff in the description, his music, social media, and I mean, what a blast it was. Last time, Itchy T's new album, Welcome to the Picnic, out now. And to finally wrap things up here, I want to thank Zav Clarke's Captain Fixed and the Midnight Honeys for the use of our theme song here on the show, Feeling Brave, Dressin' Nice. This has been Mediocre Oak Extraordinaire John, and thank you for listening. Man, sorry about the impressions, Zav. If you're listening, I just thought about that again. I mean, I'm sure I can do a better one now. I've been practicing. I mean, that one was like an off-the-cuff first try. Here, listen.
And don't be afraid to grab a sack. What? I keep saying sack.